Hello guys, today we are going to learn about Spring microservices. What Spring microservices are? So basically, if you say that what is Spring Boot, then a simple answer to a Spring Boot is that it is an open source Java based framework used to create microservices. Spring Boot is developed by Pivotal team, and Spring Boot can easily create a standalone and production ready Spring applications. For learning Spring Boot, you should know or you should have the prior experience with respect to Spring, Maven, and Gradle tools. Now we come to our next topic, that what is microservices. Basically, microservices is an architecture that allows all the developers to deploy and deploy their services basically independently. A microservices is a small or loosely coupled distributed service. It allows large application to break down into smaller pieces. So basically, if we say that what are there with respect to the benefits, if we come towards that, and if we go towards that what this service is, then you will get to know that microservices is an architecture that allows the developers to develop and deploy independent services, and microservices are small and loosely coupled and distributed services. It allows the large application to break into smaller components. That's why reasonably they are having uh, mm, there are a number of reasons. That's why, because they are small and production ready applications. There are many reasons of using microservices. For large applications, it is difficult to understand the complexity and make the code changes first and correctly. Sometimes it becomes hard to manage the code. Secondly, application needs extensive manual testing to ensure the impact of the changes. Third, for small changes, the whole application needs to be built and deployed. The heavy application slows down the startup time. So these are some of the drawbacks of when you are not using microservices. If you will use the microservices, then you didn't have that your application, whether it's a big one also, will not lose down the time. Well, if it's a heavy applications, will not slow the startup time. And if you made a small changes, then you do not have to again build and deploy the things to run that. And application extensively manual testing will ensure the impact of the changes, but here only with respect to one services, you will get to know the changes. Um, if we s- if we tell if we uh, if we uh, just know about the benefits of the microservices, then small modules, that application is broken into smaller modules, while we are easy for developing or to code and maintain, easier process applications. By using microservices, new technologies and process endpoints becomes easier. You can try new technologies with the new microservices that we use. Independent scaling, each microservices can scale independently via axis scaling or a y-axis scaling. You can say z-axis scaling also. They are based on their, it's totally based on the needs exactly. Unaffected, large application remains largely unsatisfied by the failures of a single module. Uh, DURS is a term which we use with respect to deploy, update, replace, and scaled. So each service is independently DURS deployed, updated, and replaced and scaled. So, so these are the some of the benefits of the microservices. Now we come to the architecture style of the Spring Boot. Then you can see that Spring Boot architecture is particularly it's a request is going from a client side, and it's going to a controller. From controller it's going to a service layer, and from service layer it is going to somewhat a module also, and from module you can retrieve the query or from the JPA Spring data, and it again going to fetching the to the service layer, and service layer again fetching to the controller and the client. So so it follows the dependency injection with respect to CURD when in the service layer when you are having this. So this is Spring Boot architecture, which clearly states the things that how the things are moving, but how it's different from monolithic. Monolithic architecture, all the things are in the same domain. Productivity of the deployed slows down. The developers need to understand all the dependent modules to start the deployment. Set up the environment itself takes restart of the application can take more time, and technologies contain on adding new technologies, more resource utilization to be horizontal scaling. Application is too large, and reliability and fault tolerance is there. Isolation and deployment is not possible. Monolithic applications can also be defined as a module breaking confliction resource requirements, and its continuous deployment is very difficult with respect to monolithic application. That's why Spring Boot comes in a picture. So later than this curd example, we will see that how we are going to achieve the curd create, update, and delete with respect to Spring Boot application in our